everybody.
What's up, Comic-Con?
Day 2.
Hey. Woo, that's right.
Thanks, Dorth.
Hey, Dad. Hi, guys. It is day 2 of Comic-Con. We're here at FandomFest over here in the Interactive Zone at San Diego Comic-Con in beautiful San Diego. I'm Jack.
Yeah, I'm Sharon.
And we've got an awesome day planned for you. We've got multiple panels. We're going to hang out with a bunch of really awesome people and talk about really geeky stuff. We've got this rad June bug that just won't leave us alone. He's our official mascot. Bye, Bug. And we're going to have a lot of fun. There's even going to be contests and giveaways and stuff, so you definitely want to hang out with us. You can hang out here in the shade and
or
chill out.
Go get one of our fire and ice floats.
Get some floats. Get yourself
and
a free Pepsi.
Free Pepsi.
Yeah, and chill out. So first up, we have a special Game of Thrones panel. We've brought a panel of experts, and we're going to talk all about everything from time travel to Bran's weird powers and stuff like that. So let me introduce our awesome group of people. You know him as the head writer for Screen Junkie's Honest Trailers. Please welcome to the stage Spencer Gilbert.
Woo. Next up, we have news and trends editor for Pop Sugar and a Game of Thrones enthusiast, Britton Parker.
And then helping us out with all his Game of Thrones expertise, please welcome superfan Jason Marshall.
No pressure.
All right. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Yeah, happy day 2 of Comic-Con.
Cheers, man.
Thank
You guys surviving the heat?
Barely.
Yeah, it is sweltering out here.
Winter's not here.
Winter's not coming anytime soon.
Yeah. All right. So, have you guys been Game of Thrones fans like the entire series?
Yeah, I
Ready
mean,
to
I
jump
think
in?
we're all book people first, right?
No,
Yeah.
I
No?
actually I watched the first season first, and then I was like, I have to get into this.
See,
So
me too. Yeah, I went show first.
I was late to the books, and then
Too. All right. So the theme for this panel is kind of the concept of time travel in relation to kind of like Bran's storyline. We're going a little specific with this. We're getting extra nerdy for you guys.
Oh boy, Bran.
Oh boy, you guys.
Bran storyline.
Everyone's favorite character, Bran.
I mean, if we're being truly honest, it was really Hodor who started this whole panel.
That is true.
Hold the door.
Hold the door.
So he's a little bit more interesting than Bran, apparently.
Absolutely.
To you?
Right.
Am I the only like defender of Bran? I feel like
I'm a very big.
Probably.
I'm a
Defender
very big
of Bran
defender of
is a cool title. It sounds like a breakfast cereal superhero.
I mean I'm like the Brienne of Tarth, but I'm Brenton of Bran. I like
Nice.
make sure
I
to
like
take
it.
care
That's
of him.
your Game of Thrones
Brenton
name.
of Bran.
Question
Exactly.
to that, raise your hand if Bran is your favorite character.
It's great.
One.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. He
One
showed
of
up at
one.
this Bran panel. We're just jumping all over him.
He's like,
Poor
who's
guy.
Bran?
He's just doing his best.
It's a Branel.
Doing his best. Yes,
I
for those
love
of you
Bran,
guys
though.
who maybe forgot or aren't like super fans, Bran is one of the Stark boys, the last remaining pureblood
He's the
Stark
one that gets dragged
boy.
around a bunch.
The one who doesn't walk and gets dragged around on a sled and is gone for most of the series.
By a woman who is so strong, Mira.
Mira.
Yeah.
My
Which,
girl.
by the way, if you didn't notice in the premiere, she's dragging Bran, and then 2 giant people from the wall go and drag him. 1 woman job, and then 2 men have to drag her through the wall.
Can you imagine what her quads and calves look
Oh
like?
yeah, I
right
think
now?
her and
Oh, yeah.
Gendry need to end up doing an arm wrestle
Oh my god.
contest when they
Together
come
they
back
make one
on.
gigantic buff human.
Yeah.
He's got the arms and she's got the legs.
Okay, well, we got to get back to our time travel, right?
Sorry.
Like, get back to the time travel. So we had to just ask straight out the gate because time travel isn't a brand new concept in a lot of different stories, not just in Game of Thrones. So right out the gate, do we think time travel is sort of a cheat trick for storylines?
I definitely think so. I mean, I love Game of Thrones because of like the realism and the groundedness and the political backstabbing and the human interaction.
And
then the fact
dragons.
that I'll give you dragons. But then late in the game to throw on top of that time travel is bringing up all sorts of questions that confuse me. You know, timelines and time loops and paradoxes and stuff like that. Whereas really, I think George R. R. Martin wrote himself into a corner and he's like doing all these POV characters. He's like, wait a second, I want to go back in time and write stuff, so maybe I'll make the kid in the wheelchair time travel.
I don't necessarily think it's a cop-out. I think that the entire series has been fantastical and working towards something bigger than what's happening on the page directly. So I think it made sense for it to come in later in the game. Everything's been working toward it from the beginning, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I think time travel has played a part in a lot of really, really cool sci-fi fantasy shows. You know, Star Trek First Contact, I think, is one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made, and it kind of closed the loop on a part of the story that
Yeah, and
you had
Terminator
known
2's
about.
awesome, but
Yeah.
keep it out of Game of Thrones.
But I think there has definitely been a plan from the beginning, and I think it might not be time travel in the sense that we're all used to it. So I think you got to kind of wait to the end and see how it culminates.
It's good.
Fair.
You mentioned kind of a plan from the beginning, and like for me, it kind of felt like the time travel stuff and Brand's like mysticism was almost like this way to make it more interesting after he just kind of became a character who couldn't do anything. But like
Right, like name 3 things about Bran.
he can't walk,
He likes
he's
climbing.
boring, and,
Definitely
and
likes
he dreams
stories.
about the past.
There you go.
There you go. But like, do we think like if they are building this into the story, is maybe like the fact that he can't walk actually almost the reason why he gets to have these powers? Is taking something away like the catalyst for getting sight?
Well, yeah, because he can warg into things, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's super
That is
cool.
cool.
I want him to take over a dragon.
But the thing is, I am a believer that I think all the Starks can do that. So Bran needed something on his own. All of the Starks have wolf dreams. A lot of them have either gone away or lost their wolves, and I think that some of them haven't explored it yet, but I think that all of the Starks have warg abilities to some degree. So Bran needs something on his own. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the fall gave Bran his powers. I think he's always had them. I think it's something that's been with him. I think, you know, like what gave Melisandre her powers, what gave the other Red Priests their powers. I think that it's just something inherent in the environment or something that just you have to discover. And I think it took Bran, maybe it took him realizing that he didn't need his legs, but
Yeah, I think the fall was the catalyst for it, but I don't think that's what gave him his
Yeah.
powers. It was
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the spark of discovery of his powers and his journey.
A huge question now is obviously from season 6, when we saw him really go back and see young Ned Stark and then unveil Jon Snow's true parentage. There was a moment in that episode where it seemed as though young Ned might have felt his presence, heard something, maybe a wind blowing, and it seemed convenient that he looked his way. But it remains to be seen if there's some sort of like he can change something when he goes back, or would he go forward? Like, is it only a back and forward? So, what do you think? Like, end game there of, you know, where's Bran's like power really in terms of going back? Is it just
the
to
timeline
be,
like the
is
Flash?
it just to be audience?
I hope not. I mean, look, I'll grant you time travel as a narrative device to go back and look at the past. That's cool. But if Game of Thrones ends with, say, like, the White Walkers win and there's just snow falling on the Iron Throne, and Bran's like, wait a second, and he goes back in time and
That would
keeps
be a
himself from
cop-out.
being
Yeah,
pushed out a
I
window,
agree.
and then everything's sunny again, I will be so mad.
If
Right,
that's the
because you have to
case,
think about like the consequence, right, of
Right.
changes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm wondering, can he take people with him? Like, is it more like how does he prove what he's seen in the
Well, he
past?
can't, right? Because Hodor, which maybe we'll
Hodor
get to
didn't
later.
go back. He was there in
Later.
both times, wasn't he? He was because he was there in the past and he was
And
with him
he was there in the
future.
past and the present, and that's what like
At the
closed the
same
loop
time.
in his brain, so he could only say Hodor, right?
Yeah, I
Being
mean,
in two places at once.
I definitely wonder what the future is, how Bran proves that Jon is related to Dany.
I don't-
Where does it go from just him being able to go back and, you know, maybe change somebody's actions?
I don't feel like Bran is going to be the one to tell Jon about his parentage. I think that there are several options for how that's going to happen. It could be Sam. I think Sam might put it together because that would be a great
Likes his
plot.
books, yeah.
Yeah, he likes his books. He's at the Citadel. He could figure it out in some way. Or I think the Winterfell crypt might have something to do with it. I think that Ned is the kind of person that would have had a true crypt built and created for Lyanna or for Jon in advance with the true names on it, and Jon's going to go down and see.
Well, they do
Targaryen.
have something for Lyanna, right? Down in Winterfell.
Yeah.
They do.
'cause
I think-
Sansa saw it like way back.
Yeah. So
And I think that might be happening soon.
yes,
There are pictures, I believe,
Yep.
of Littlefinger and John in the crypt
Yep.
coming up.
I think that's my theory for what's gonna happen. So Bran might not necessarily have to prove.
But I think, at least as far as the show goes, for the
Right.
audience, we're going to see the rest of that flashback one way or
Yes.
another. He's definitely going to
Yeah.
roll his eyes back, and we're going to go back to the Tower of Joy for
He
sure.
roll his eyes back. It is interesting, though, that you bring up possibly Sam putting it together, because right now he's trying to put together Dragonstone and
Yeah.
the Dragon Glass, right?
Yep.
So that being Targaryen stomping ground, there might be some pieces to put together through that.
Absolutely.
In between all that poop scrubbing.
Oh, yeah.
What's this here?
Oh God.
It's disgusting.
So
Moving on.
gross.
So,
Moving on.
so like, if Bran doesn't get to do the reveal, one, that takes away one more thing that his character even has the potential to do. But like, do we see him having like being useful in this war that is like going to build up? Like we've kind of been building him up for a while. Like, do we see him as kind of like a Deus Ex Machina for like this war, or like is he ultimately gonna like not actually do all that much? Are his warg powers powerful enough to like really make a difference?
Yeah, I
do
mean,
we
he's
think?
still useful. He's still a Stark. He's got the trust of Sansa and Jon completely. He'd be like a good advisor, because if we believe, is this confirmed on the show, that the werewoods are like an internet that you can kind of bop your brain around and see things through?
I believe that he connects to it and can access elsewhere.
Yes.
That'd be
Right,
useful.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So I know a couple of us were talking backstage about different theories about time travel, what could play out. So I could see Bran noticing that Ned Stark was a little bit affected by his words and trying to test the extent of his powers and how he can change what's actually played out in history, and trying to go back and change and stop the White Walkers from ever being created, what set that into motion, and then either affect it for the better or for the way worse. So there are theories that Bran is the Night's
Or-
King,
I'd say maybe he goes back in time and becomes the three-eyed crow and
Right.
can't come back.
is stuck in an
Mhm.
endless loop.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be more plausible than him being the Night King.
It would make a little bit more sense. It would need less explanation too.
Because then, I mean, if he's the Night King, that means he's going to die doing something, and then
Right.
the little elves have to bring him back to the people, the people, the first men. They have to bring him back to life.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that there's a lot. I mean, it's really going to play out in an interesting way regardless. I feel like there's no way they can leave his storyline to be something boring. He has to do something interesting.
There's just something to be said about, like, you're talking about if he can go back in time and maybe change something, because, I mean, how does that affect, like, the Lannisters and the fact that Cersei's still such, like, a, you know, and, like, how does it affect that reign? How does it affect, like, the Mad King? How does it affect, like, all of that stuff going forward? And would he rather go back, or does he figure out how to go forward to, like, end it? Like,
Well, I mean, and I feel like there are theories about the Mad King being mad because people went back
He's
and like
whispering
fucked
in his
Because
ear,
Bran
yeah.
whispered in his ear.
So it's like maybe possibly that's Bran meddling around and trying to fix things.
see,
you
that's
know.
character development.
But this
that's
brings
much
up
better.
such an annoying paradox, because what if Bran goes back to stop himself from being pushed out the window? Then he doesn't become Bran. The Bran that we know
Bran
that
the
can time
climber.
travel.
Bran the builder, Bran the climber.
I hate paradoxes.
It also kind of feels like a cop out when you do like those kinds of stories, like, oh, it was someone who went back in time and did this. Like, that's just something we've seen before.
Superman did it. He
Yeah.
spun the Earth backwards and saved Lois Lane.
He
People
did
still died in
spin
that
the
earthquake,
Earth
though.
backwards. Worst time travel in the history of cinema, maybe.
And there's a glaring Harry Potter time travel reference
There
Yes,
is.
across the stage.
Yes, yeah, you're rocking your
Time turner.
What?
nice. We're gonna start this
I'm
whole
about to
panel
disappear,
over
you
with
guys.
Steve.
You don't even know.
But like, is that even a plot that like we really want from the show? Like, because Game of Thrones like tries to like subvert your expectations.
Which plot? Him going back in time?
Yeah, these theories that like that he might be the cause of the Mad King.
He's the root of
madness and
everything that
stuff,
went
the root of
wrong.
everything. I feel like when you introduce a
Brain
time
cell.
travel character, that's where like that's the path you're on.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why they've simplified things along the way. They got rid of Lady Stoneheart. They did away with a lot of what people would consider the more complicated aspects of the books. Maybe they did that so they could come in with something ridiculous at the end and not have it be as like,
jarring.
as like the top of the pile of crap that it could have been.
Right. They
Yeah,
don't want to
he's
get too
just-
lost with it.
If he's just going back in time as a witness, just to be like literal a human camera for us, to just go back and show us stuff that's interesting, that's fine. But if he starts whispering in people's ears and he's the cause of everything, the beginning, the end, the middle, then that just robs everyone of their own character motivations. And that's what I love about Game of Thrones.
I'm also wondering how much he's going to tell people of his meddling, if he meddles at all, right? Like, John would probably want to know
Yeah,
and get
whoops.
really pissed off at him if he does the wrong thing.
Totally.
Well, I was going to say maybe Bran will realize that he shouldn't go back and change things because then John wouldn't be who John is, Sansa wouldn't be who Sansa is, he wouldn't be who he is.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll
absolutely.
come to that realization on his own and,
Yeah,
and
there's also
make you happy.
that quote from the Thread Raven. I think he says, like, the ink is dry on history. So, meaning that you probably can't change much.
And I don't want him to be the root cause of everything because I like to blame Catelyn Stark, and I don't want to lose that part of my fandom. I like to have a character to blame, and I like it to be
blame
Catelyn.
She was just being a good mom.
Was she though?
A little too much.
Was she?
I'm interested in this.
I think she. There's a quote from Harry Potter to bring it back to Harry Potter.
Always.
If you want to see who a man is, like, look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals, and the way that she treats John from the very root. I've disliked her from the beginning, so I like being able to blame her for how
Her
everything
man
played
was
out.
fooling around on her, and that's
But
living
he wasn't.
proof.
And they had
She
been
doesn't know
married.
that.
They had been married for like weeks, and he went to war. So even I'm not gonna get into it. I won't get into it.
Well, and maybe Sansa will be the flip side of the coin when she comes of age, when she becomes the woman she's meant to be.
Maybe. I'd love it.
So we're gonna play a little thought exercise. If you guys had the ability to time travel, what one event in the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones would you change, and how do you think that would affect the rest of the story?
I would tell Daenerys to just book it out of a marine and just hurry up. This isn't going to be important. You're just going to delegate it at the end of the day. Just get on a ship and go. We don't need to do the back and forth and revolution here. Just
Don't
go.
want
They're
to
never- they're never
practice being a
grateful.
queen.
Yeah, they never appreciate it. Just go. Go, 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 go.
You want to go?
I think I would save Marjorie from
Yeah.
from blowing up. It's just because she was a badass character, and I think she got the bad end of the stick. And
She could have won the Game of
just
Thrones.
she could have, and I think she won it by realizing the trouble she was in when nobody else would listen to her. So, and I think going forward, I think she'd be a great ally for John and Sansa and Dany. Even I think she'd love to see Dany come to town and mess with Cersei.
I think I would save Oberyn Martell. Purely because he was just such a great character and he
Yes.
was on my screen for too short of a time period. And I would have loved to see comeuppance for everything that had happened to his family. And it wouldn't have probably affected the actual storyline of Game of Thrones that much, but
Totally.
it
Good
was
call.
so unnecessary and just
It
so
would-
devastating.
Too beautiful of a face to pop.
Right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, on that note, if Oberyn didn't die, his sister wouldn't have killed
Marcella.
Marcella Lannister, and that was part of a prophecy.
Yeah.
So you kind of it's almost like his death is just part of
Ensured.
that prophecy. Just
Well,
kinda
I think that the prophecy with Cersei is going to come true regardless of whether it was Oberyn's family who did it. I think that her kids would all eventually die anyway.
But
Why-
whose hands are gonna be wrapped around her neck?
Oh, I think it's going to be
Jamie.
I think Tyrion.
Really?
Jamie only has one hand.
But Jamie's already killed one Mad King before. It's such a parallel to that story. I feel like
Yeah.
it just screams Jamie.
Is it too easy though?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
too
it
easy.
has to be Jaime. No, I think it's
Well,
too easy for
Tyrion's
Tyrion.
already
Well,
choked
because
someone.
Cersei is convinced that it's Tyrion. So
Yeah.
what would be more
Yeah.
shocking to her than Jamie?
I don't think it'd be
Well,
either of them.
and I think Jamie's been witnessing Cersei kind of become this mad queen over the course of their rule, I suppose. And I think that he is going to have to redeem himself, through making sure that she doesn't harm anybody else. I think that's going to be his redemption as a character because he isn't the greatest person at the beginning. He pushes a child out of a window for the sake of Cersei, and I think that he has to kind of close that loop by redeeming himself
Yeah.
in the end.
He still seems pretty unredeemed. Like he's just
I
sitting by
mean-
the throne, be like, "Don't hit on my sister." To Euron.
He's like, oh, I'm sad my kids are dead.
Yeah.
I'll kill fewer people now, I guess. But I tend to agree with that. I think Jaime's definitely on a redemption path, although
Yeah.
I don't think Game of Thrones is necessarily interested in redemption stories.
No.
No.
And so, like, I can see him maybe trying to kill her, but, like, I
Having
don't
Tyrion
think
step
he's
in.
going to finish the deal, like, finish the job. So
Or Arya at this point now.
It could be. Oh, it could be Arya as Jaime or
Oh.
Tyrion.
Oh.
That would be
Boom.
awesome.
Now we're
like
thinking.
that
Because it would still fulfill the prophecy,
Yeah.
but
Face
it would
off the
also.
face.
it would be like a 4-foot tall Jaime Lannister.
Well,
Like, I
and
feel
now-
like people would
and-
notice.
I mean,
clearly
now
she
that you
can
say
change
that,
her
I don't
body,
want
too.
to I don't want to take that kill away from Arya. So
I know,
I'm gonna
I kinda
change.
want her
I'm
to finish
changing
her
my
list.
answer.
I want Arya to
That's
kill
allowed.
every person on her list.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I get mad when other people do it and like she doesn't get to. It's like,
But is she gonna kill the Hound?
I think.
She already did.
Didn't she
kind of.
already?
Yeah.
Sort of?
Well, she left him
Oh,
for
Bri-
dead, right? But
yeah.
she said on the
Brienne
Red
did all the
Wedding
work.
she wanted to stab him in the eye.
Put an asterisk by his name on the list.
I think
Yeah.
in her mind, she took care of that part of her list.
Yeah.
She's found closure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
All right, we want to play a game with you. Oh,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, no, I was great. Like, we were just talking about backstage about her taking down the mountain and how amazing that would be.
Wow.
Oh,
Is he on her list? I couldn't
He's on her
remember.
list.
He is.
Yeah.
okay.
I think all the Cleganes are on her list. Maybe
she could take
Clegane
him-
Bowl will be Arya
But does
with
it
the
count
Hound
if-
and the
Does
Mountain.
it count
There
if
it
they're
is.
already
Or
dead?
when the Hound kills him, she'll go, "All right, you're okay in my book."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's already dead, right? He's like
I mean, but
kind of.
It's like like the monster.
Frankenmountain,
Frankenstein,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's living a half-life.
Yeah.
I like the idea of her like just two birds with one stone, Clegane Bowl.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and
That's easy,
Nymeria
that'd
is
be
going to
good.
come back this next episode, and I would love to see her and Nymeria just, kicking butt, taking names, going for it in King's Landing. So she could take down the Mountain with Nymeria's help. I feel like with her own abilities and with a full-grown direwolf that's been living in the wild for 5 years,
Ooh.
she could do it.
Or she could warg into it. And
She could because she totally has the ability
Yeah.
to.
According to
I
Britain,
feel like she
they
doesn't
can
need to
all
work
warg.
though. She's got so much else going on.
Right.
What if it's Arya as Nymeria, just warging in and then taking her face off, and it's the Faceless Man,
And then the wolf peels its
and then
face
it's
off.
Nick Cage.
Oh
and
my
then
God,
it's
it's
Jon
just an
Snow.
This
endless
is all going so Scooby-Doo right now. It's ridiculous.
But that's a
wonder-
good notion. Like, can she wear two faces? I guess that wouldn't matter, right? Why would you do that?
Faceception, yes.
Like-
Season 8.
Face within a face. Okay, now we're going to play a game with you guys. We kind of touched on it a little bit before because you were talking about some people you want to bring back. But we're going to give you choices. So George R. R. Martin came to you right now and asked you to choose between two characters that you had to bring back from the dead.
Oh.
You have to choose one. So which would you pick? So we're going to start off with Ned Stark or Khal Drogo.
Khal
Khal
Drogo.
Drogo.
Yeah, Khal Drogo.
Ned Stark had to die for us to live. For us to get interested in Game of Thrones, for
And
us to
he's-
say, "Oh, anything can happen."
Yeah.
That was the first moment.
Well, and he's too noble to survive what's happening, and
Yeah,
he would have died
he
another
would last
way.
another month.
Well, and like
Yeah.
Sansa said, it's like he made a stupid decision and he got his head cut off because of it. I think
Yep.
Cal kind of didn't understand what he was getting into with Dany.
Right.
You know, he's like, look, she's pretty, and
Yeah, and also Khal Drogo's like broy replacements that we've met are just not as cool.
The
Oh,
like
yeah.
Walmart
Yeah.
brand Khal Drogos
Yeah, the
that come
Kroger
in.
Drogos.
The knockoff.
Plus, we were robbed of more Jason Momoa. In that
Yeah.
Oh
show.
my
Yeah.
God.
Like,
I would do it just for that.
He
I
made me
mean,
excited for Aquaman.
who I'm
Yes, right?
Well,
Don't hate on Aquaman.
and I'm convinced he's gonna be like the next big like comic. Watch him; he'll be in some like rom-com in like a year or two.
well, he wants to do comedy.
Yeah, I can
He's
see
talked
it.
about it. I would love it.
And those babies he has with Lisa Bonet are
Oh my God.
adorable.
The most beautiful family. They had no choice but to be genetically just like perfect. They're so beautiful. Sorry, off topic.
Sidetrack.
I'll talk about
Talking
Jason Momoa all
babies.
day. It's good.
all right, here's a difficult one. Joffrey Baratheon or Ramsay Bolton?
Ooh,
You gotta bring
Bring
one
one
back.
of them
bring
back.
one back. Oh
Ramsey.
man,
Ramsey.
Joffrey?
Team Ramsey.
I would do Ramsay just because Joffrey has more scope of power if he isn't taken out. I mean, he was.
yeah, but taking him out caused another civil war. Like, the realm would be held together a little bit longer under Joffrey. thousands of other people dying because he died and everything broke apart again.
But I
Ramsay,
also-
that's tough. That's tough.
I like seeing Olenna Tyrell have her day with Joffrey, so I like that she was.
Well, I liked watching
Involved.
Ramsay get eaten by a dog. I mean, we want them both dead.
Yeah, that's a really tough one.
I mean, to be fair, you can kill them again, right? They don't have to
It's
stay
true.
Always
alive.
can kill them
So
twice,
like
yeah.
now you can see Joffrey die twice.
Yeah.
I don't think Joffrey's smart enough to prevent another death if we were to bring him back. I think Ramsay would learn and he would always be on the move and not be killed again.
Ramsay's more in charge, right?
Yes.
Joffrey's just dumb, and everybody
he
else
was-
is in
and
charge around
He
him.
wasn't dumb. He was young, and I mean Ramsay was an adult and he knew what he was doing. He's a crazy person.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that more because he's a man of his own
It's
decisions.
higher stakes, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. We'll go ahead and move on from that weird one. Would you bring back Tywin Lannister or Walder Frey?
Oh, wow.
We're going into the bad ones.
I would say Tywin, because I don't feel like at his root everything he was meant to do was bad. I think
Sure.
he had his best intention. Like I think he was trying to do well while also protecting his family. I think Walder was just
Gross.
a garbage human that was going to be bad regardless, and he was marrying all these young girls and just like he's like a trash person. I don't like.
He is a
Walder
trash
Frey.
person.
Yeah. He's
I think yeah, I
awful.
think I agree. Tywin genuinely wanted to hold the realm together. He had good intentions, even though they were like family focused and his family first. But yeah, Walder Frey, he's sitting where he doesn't belong. He's taking lands that's not his out of some ancient grudge. So glad he's gone.
Yeah, and I just rewatched The Red Wedding, and I'm extra upset about Walder Frey right now in this moment in time. Watching him laugh while everything's happening, I'm just like that
But
guy.
Tywin ordered it, or he made the deal.
Tywin ordered it, but I don't know. I think Tywin did it for the different reasons.
When
I
he
think
felt
Walder
he
was
felt
just doing.
threatened,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Tywin was doing it to try and accomplish something different. I think Walder was doing it out of petty revenge, and he was the one who actually broke the guest right. He was the one who did this active betrayal of everything that should stand in Westeros. I don't know.
Yeah, F
Yeah.
that guy.
I don't get the idea that Tywin like ordered him to do it that way, right?
Right.
Like it would have been had like the Lannisters handled it, it would have been a little more subtle, like in their sleep.
Well, but the Lannisters
like-
handled it how they normally. They paid somebody else to do it. That's how
Yeah.
they
yeah,
handled
yeah,
it.
that's true.
And they did utilize Roose Bolton, who's like, I mean, an incredible character, but an awful character.
Have you heard the theory he's a vampire?
That would make.
Vampires.
How does that
are
theory
good
go?
enough.
Who's
That's
the
it.
vampire?
That's
James
it.
Bolton.
Okay. You just-
No explanation.
You've heard it here first.
You know,
Well,
the
he's a
flayed
vampire.
man, he drinks blood, and he's like kind of,
Okay.
he's
Well,
older than you think, and
Yeah.
that's all.
And there's
That's
a
all.
theory about Varys being a mermaid.
Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I don't
that
buy
one.
that one. I don't buy it.
You don't buy it. We were talking about the feet, and you just were like, you don't see his
Immediately,
feet,
I was
and you
like,
were like,
no,
here's
you
his
see
feet
his
right
feet
here, and here, and
all
here, and
the
here. And I was
time.
like, dang it, all right, it's fine.
And he went through his backstory like a little bit, like
He
with the
did.
box. and
He had,
stuff.
I
Come on,
thought
guys.
that backstory with that like wizard in the box was
Classic mermaid deception.
yeah, like a weird thing to go like. Actually, no, it's fine. I just am a mermaid. Yeah, I think that one is funny because it's built upon what's potentially just kind of continuity errors. It's
Right.
like, oh, like how did he get across the sea that fast? And you're
Right.
like, because
Turned into a beautiful
because
mermaid.
the game, like the show, just wanted the scene to go faster, right? Like
Exactly.
Then he could be a shark. Like,
Yeah.
a shark man.
why would he have to
Maybe.
be a
It's like a
mermaid?
jellyfish.
Yeah. Yeah, he would be like
A merman.
jellyfish, sea cucumber or something, some form of like coral.
All right, for the next one, I'm going to actually switch this up due to our conversation. Oberyn, Martell, or Marjorie?
No.
Pick.
That's hard. I would say Oberyn just because the Dorne plotline is such trash without him.
Mm-hmm.
They did that plotline dirty, and I feel like he made everything interesting.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oberyn would have spiced it up. The Dorne
Yeah.
looks like the B team got sent out to make an episode of like Xena. No offense to Xena or Hercules,
Yeah.
but it just looks really low rent compared to the rest of the
Yeah.
show.
And I think that like Marjorie her story was told. She got to cause as much trouble as she was going to, and Cersei went up there, and I think Oberyn stepped in it himself. So
Yeah.
I would like to see what he would have done if he hadn't made that such a stupid decision.
Yeah. If Marjorie had lived, then she would remain on the throne because she would be a good queen.
Yeah.
And
we
Tommen
wouldn't
would have
need
been
to-
nice, and it would have
Yeah.
been too happy
Yeah.
this early on.
Would've been way
To,
too happy.
to finish the overall Game of Thrones arc, we need Marjorie to die.
Yeah. Are you excited for Marjorie's grandmother to team up with Dorne? Like, is
Hell
that a plot
yeah.
line that like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's-
like her because she is not afraid to tell the Sand Snakes to like get it under control, and I think somebody needs to. The Queen of Thorns should be the Queen of Thrones, I believe.
Yep.
She should end up on the throne at the end of it all.
For like the
Like a
last
day?
couple years.
For
of
like
her
2
life.
years, and then the rest of her family's gone, so there's nobody else
Yeah.
to go to, and then we start all over again.
Perfect.
Oh man.
She is the one
For the
that
sequel series.
Exactly.
last season has pretty much been the only one to really look at Cersei and be like, "You're awful, and you've lost, and I'm
And you owe
out."
me money.
Right. You
So
owe me lots
much
of money. Yeah, but she owed
Alright.
the church money too, and look what she did to them.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Hodor or Ygritte?
So wait, I'm choosing who lives?
Yes,
Who comes
who
back?
comes
from
Comes
back.
back.
Ygritte. Because Hodor's send-off, like, if it was taking back to time travel, if his whole purpose was to become a human doorstop and hold that door, and then he comes back, he's like, well, what do I say now? Like, keep walking? Like, he needed a new word. So
He would need a new word. He need a new name. That would be
Name.
amazing if he came back as just a different named person who says the same thing every time, and they're like, oh, he just says I'm back over and over and over again.
yeah.
See, I would choose Hodor because I would hope that once Bran kind of sees what had happened, I guess without him being torn apart by White Walkers, Bran never would have seen what happened to Hodor to cause it in the beginning. But if there was some way for Bran to try and figure out and go back and fix what had happened and allow Hodor to lead a full life, like as this big giant dude, he just seems like such a gentle, great human, and I want him to have his chance.
Egret all the way. I mean, she comes back and you get more sexy time with Jon Snow, so
More
that's
cave
my
time.
vote. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Take me back to the cave, please.
Cave
And
jacuzzi.
thank you. Yes.
Plus,
But
like,
would we want that to be Endgame too, like John Egret? Because we've talked a lot about like who could he end up with, or does he even end up with anybody? Does he finally actually die?
Mm.
I would love to see him and Sansa. Neither of them end
Uh-oh.
up with anybody.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna
Okay.
say.
And just sitting there ruling.
Incest
I know where you're going with that.
Just like
That's not
sitting there
technically
ruling
right.
Winterfell and like finally have some peace and be happy. And I don't know. That's probably never going to happen because it's Game of Thrones. Nobody's going to be happy. Nobody's going to have a peaceful ending. But
Well, and I think Jon and Egret, they were one of the only relationships where they actually got to choose each other.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it's one of the most natural, other than like Dany and what's her boyfriend's
Dario.
name? Dario, yeah.
Naharis? 1.0 or 2.0?
Yeah.
Oh, 2.0.
Yeah,
for
Really?
sure.
Mikhail Huseman?
Yeah, 2.0 for sure.
I
But yeah,
go with
I think
1.0.
just the fact that they got to choose each other and they weren't forced together like any of the other people, it's nice.
good. On that note, do you have any predictions for potential pairings or weddings that might happen before the end of the series?
It's gonna be Jon and Daenerys at the end
Think
getting
so?
married. The fact that they're
Gross.
sort of related is a plus
She's
to a
his aunt.
Targaryen.
It's true.
Yeah, they look
But
at
she's
that
not his twin.
as a benefit. I think that the show's going that way.
It's going that way.
They're on a collision course. Genitals first.
I mean, are we talking about pairings just in general on the show? Because I think the Missandei Grey Worm thing is going to come to fruition this season at some point, and then something tragic's going to happen, and none of us will be able to be happy ever again.
Yeah, yeah. There's no way. We have too many characters, like left right now.
Right.
Like we gotta cut the like. I think half of them are gone by the time we get to the end.
Yep.
It's gonna be a bummer. This show's kind of
I
a
do
gut punch.
still want to know, like, when is Gendry coming back? Like,
Me, same.
right? Because
Same
there was
question.
that
This
little
season.
bit between Gendry and Arya too, back in the day, you know, where he's like, you know, she's like, I could be your family, and he's like, then you'd be my lady.
Yeah.
I've watched this so
And
many
it was
times.
weird back then because she was so young, but now she's
She's all grossed up.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
got a
Reading the
few
books,
kills
I,
She
under her
hasn't really
belt.
found that like part of her really yet, but she's
She
grown
might
up,
if
you know?
she saw Gendry with his buff
Right? With
rowboat
his,
arms.
like, I know,
His
his
anchor
Hulk
arms.
arms.
Oh, Heroes Crew.
Reading
Wow,
the books,
nice.
I definitely thought that that seemed like the pairing that was like for sure gonna happen, and then he disappeared. And I mean, he's not that much older than she is.
No, he's only
No.
a couple
No.
of years, but
Yeah, so-
And not that that matters
Yeah,
in Game of Thrones
right.
anyway, right?
well, but we also don't know if Gendry will come back in a positive way because there's the whole thing about Oberyn, or not Oberyn. Oh my God, Euron Greyjoy bringing Cersei a gift, I think that gift is
Right.
going to be Gendry,
Ooh.
the
Ooh, I
last
didn't think
remaining
about that.
Baratheon bastard.
Yeah,
That'll
I
be
think
a
that's a
sad
good
death.
point.
That would be
That
awful.
does
Yeah,
come
'cause I
full
think we-
circle, though.
Yeah, because we think he's like heading for Tyrion, but like it feels like
No.
why would he go there? Like there's a whole army waiting
He's
for
not
him.
headed for anything.
And they're
Remember
at the
when we
sea.
got the hot pie cameo? We're gonna get a Genji. Oh look, there he is, and that'll be it.
Right.
There's already too many people to
That'd
keep
be
track
so
of.
anticlimactic.
But he's important to I guess or
He's
or
important
is it?
to
Does anyone
Cersei.
care that he's like technically the heir to the throne?
He doesn't
like,
care. He just wants to make metal stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
he
and I
can,
think
he can make himself his own Iron Throne.
Yeah,
He's good at
exactly.
it.
I mean, that's what we were talking about, like the future. Like after somebody wins, what does Westeros look like going
just
forward?
walks over all the
Because like
bodies.
Dany can't have kids. It's like Jon Snow.
Right.
Who is he gonna marry to have kids with? Like that's the thing. What's gonna happen afterwards?
And
I
Daenerys
think-
wants to break the wheel, not be on top.
And that's right. And I think that's where Gendry he'll be able to kind of do his own thing, and he won't have to worry about ruling or being a part of it if he doesn't want to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Sansa just being by herself for like till the end of time because she's been through some.
I think
Bad
she is over trying to play the game and for any reason aside from just maintaining her new status quo where she's finally where she belongs. She wants to maintain staying at Winterfell. I think she is done
Yeah.
with people like Littlefinger. She's clearly over it.
If
with
I were her,
Littlefinger.
I'd never leave
Oh my
Winterfell
God.
again.
Did
Yeah,
you love
she's-
how she was just like, you don't have to have the last word?
She's
Like,
great.
walked away.
Boy, bye.
So great.
Nice.
She said swerve.
I used to want to have like Sansa end up with some good guy because she'd just been through the muck, and then Arya just be a badass assassin on her own. But I kind of like switching gears on that now.
I think that Sansa, so much of her trouble from the root of it came from her wanting a partner, her wanting
Yeah.
a prince. And I think that the most poetic end to her storyline would be her realizing that she is strong and she is powerful and she doesn't need it and doesn't want it. So I think I want that for her. I want her to be a powerful lone wolf, hopefully not the actual only lone wolf Stark
Right.
in the end, but we'll see.
No,
In your
agree.
guys' opinion, is Podrick the Neville Longbottom of Game of Thrones? is he gonna come back and be like, actually, I learned Brienne of Tarth taught me everything, and now I'm amazing?
If Podrick is Azor Ahai reborn, I will be so happy.
Oh my
if
God.
He's
So
the one
good.
who fulfills the
He
prophecy.
kills the
I-
Night King.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. If I had to pick like one person who's like guaranteed to like survive the whole thing, like it's
Podrick.
Podrick, right?
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't think he started out as incompetent as Neville Longbottom did, though.
Well, no, he was good with the ladies, apparently.
Right. He's
Right.
always had that going for
That's
him.
right, man. I forgot.
Yeah, he could be a male gigolo, just roaming Westeros. That's the spin-off I think they'd
That's
all
been
want.
New
the
Oberyn,
one,
right?
like,
Like-
that's been like the humorous part of everything, right?
Yeah.
Is just like the way that the ladies look at him when he passes by in King's Landing.
Well,
It's got a
and it's like
reputation.
that whole like dynamic was because it's like Brienne was a foil for Jaime, and then Podrick is a foil for her. So it's like it's been interesting to see how it's trickling down to.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're running out of time here, guys. But thank you so much for all of the different theories. I can't wait to see if any of these actually come true.
I'm so ready. I have a
feel like
notebook.
we might have like 40% chance of something coming.
Something spoken up on this stage today is going to come true.
Totally.
Yes.
We've thrown out every theory out there, so one of them's going to have to happen.
One of them will hit.
We can just all predict like a character dying and just go right down the list.
Oh, yeah.
And then you
throw
go
10
One of
10
us
darts
has
darts
to
at
be
the
right.
Right.
Throw 10 darts at the wall, 10 character deaths at the wall. One will stick. That's
Do you
what
think that's
matters.
how George R. R. Martin does it
Yes,
at home? Like,
that's
he
how he
does-
writes.
He probably literally has stuff
Uh,
printed on the
Yep.
wall and he throws darts and he's like, ooh, boom,
You
over
die.
and
Pleased
me. Yeah.
I feel like he like hangs out of these things and then someone goes like, this person's my favorite character, and he goes, okay.
it's interesting.
And he goes back home and he just is like,
It's just to crush one
Like-
person's dream.
Yeah.
So it's like
And
if
he,
you
like,
see
just
him at
thinks about
Comic-Con,
that
don't
person.
He
talk
gets
to him.
bad service at a restaurant.
He's like Steve Buscemi's character in what, like Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore, which one? And he has like basically the kill list
people to kill.
with the lipstick.
That's the book he writes afterwards. Just like,
Yeah,
remember
yes.
when you told me that?
it's all your fault, and just by name, every fan.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us while we chatted about Game of Thrones. We have a lot more Comic-Con coverage coming up for you guys, so stick around. We are going to be showing all the best trailers that have premiered here at Comic-Con, so if you've missed any of them, you can watch them all with us, and then we're going to be snarky about them a little bit and geek out about the good ones. And then later we are going to be chatting with the producers and stars of the latest Resident Evil film and giving away copies of the Blu-ray, so definitely check it out. That's not the live action one. It's the CG one that's like totally insane, where they're doing like gun kung fu against zombies
like
and stuff.
the video
It's
game.
nuts.
It's crazy.
We have very, very violent scenes to show you. They're so gross. So definitely stick around. If you haven't followed us yet on our social media, we are Get Fandom on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. You get alerts when we're going live, so you won't miss any of our Comic-Con coverage. And if you're here at Comic-Con, come by. You can hang out here in the shade with us. We ask questions, we do giveaways, and you can get some free Pepsi and floats here at FandomFest. So, all right, thank you so much for coming by,
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.